Hi, this is Miss Cindy from the Crown Point Community Library, and today I'm going to be bringing the library into your home with a cooking demonstration. I was looking at our library website and looking at a new database we have called Creative Bug, and I was inspired by a video that I watched of a demonstration for making truffles. A family recipe that we use, that we make every year at Christmas, are Oreo bonbons or Oreo truffles, and it's become a staple in our house at Christmas time. So I started thinking about it and decided I'd like to share that recipe with you, show you how to make them, and then I'm going to link it to the database so you can see the truffle recipe. So you'll have several options of things that you can make. So let me tell you what we're going to do. So we're going to start with Oreos. They're Oreo bonbons. You can use any type of sandwich cookies. It doesn't have to be Oreos. And you can use any flavor. You can use the vanilla. You can use lemon. You can play around with it, try different things, get creative. But you're going to use one package. Mine are in little tubes. So if you have the box, the larger size box, you're going to use 3 tubes. You will need 1 package of cream cheese for the 3 tubes. And I have a food processor here, so that's the way I chop up the Oreos. You want to make the Oreos into tiny pieces and then mix them with the cream cheese. So again, you have to have 2 options. If you don't have a food processor, or if you're not able to use a food processor, then you can put your Oreos into a Ziploc bag and then use a rolling pin to crush them, and then use a spoon to mix them in with the cream cheese. So let me go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So, super easy. You can get the package open. All right, we're just going to put the Oreos into our food processor. And I put all 3 packages in there at once. Close it up, and I'll turn it on. It's really loud, so I'm going to stop the video and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I have it chopped. Okay, so my Oreos are now finely crushed. They are like a nice little powder in there. So I'm going to add my cream cheese. So I have a block of cream cheese. I find that it's a little bit easier if I just cut it into some chunks and add it to my bowl. And I just add this right in there on top of my ground up cookie crumbs. Get it all in there. All right, and then the next step is I'm going to turn this on again, and that's going to mix the cream cheese in with the Oreo cookies so that it will create my dough that I'm going to use for my truffle. So again, I'm going to turn this on and I'll be right back. Okay, so you can see that it made almost like a dough, and that was just about 30-40 seconds until it clumps up and creates a dough. Now you want to be careful here because I do have a blade in the bottom of my food processor, so I just want to be careful that I take that out and put it to the side safely. And then I use a scraper to get all my Oreo cookie dough out of my food processor. If you were using the Ziploc bag and a rolling pin, you would want to get your cookie crumbs as chopped up and fine as possible. You could even put them into a blender and put it onto a puree. You might want to do it in smaller batches if you do it that way. And then just to mix in, make sure your cream cheese has been sitting at room temperature so that it's a little bit softer, so that it's easier to work with. If you take it right out of the refrigerator, it will be too cold and it won't work right. It will be too hard to try to form or to mix in with. Now you can see that I have some spots where I have some cream cheese that wasn't completely processed into my cookie crumbs, so I can just take my spatula and mix those in just to get it nice and mixed up. I also noticed that my cookies are now nice and soft and will be easy to mold. So the next step that I want to do is I'm going to take my cookie dough and I'm just going to form it into balls. Again, you have a couple options as far as how you do this. One is just a spoon. And you can also choose how large you want to make them. My family tends to like them on the smaller side. And I just take it and roll it in between my hands and form it into a ball. And let's see, I have a cookie sheet here, put a piece of parchment over it just so that they don't stick. And I'm just going to line them up on this cookie sheet. I also have a cookie dough baller. I don't know if that's really what it's called, but that's what we're going to call it. And I can use that to form my balls of dough. I'm doing it that way. This is my first one that I dip in my hands. The second one that I use, the cookie dough baller, is not quite as round. I could do that and then still pack it down. But it's totally up to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to just, I'm going to use the spoon. That's my favorite way to do it. You're just going to take some dough, push it between your hands, make it into a ball. Don't worry if you can see some cream cheese on it, that's okay. Get it to stick together and then just put them onto the tray. So you know how in all those fancy cooking shows when they do this, they always have the other tray that's already done? Well, I don't have that because I'm just making one batch. So instead, I'm going to turn the video off again. I'm going to stop. I'm going to get all of my dough made into nice fancy little balls and then come back and show you the next step. Okay, so I went ahead and rolled out all my Oreo bonbons. As you can see, they're all in this tray. I ended up with about 36, which is 3 dozen. It depends on the size that you make them, how many you'll end up with. And then once I was done, I just popped them into the freezer very quickly while I prepared the second step, which is to make the chocolate that we're gonna dip them in. The reason that I would stuck them in the freezer is just to help to harden that cream cheese, because remember we let it sit to room temperature before we worked with it. So they were a little bit soft and gooey. So in order for them to be more firm and for the chocolate ganache to be able to settle them a little bit quicker, I stuck them in the freezer and it took all about 5 minutes. So then I went rummaging through my pantry to see what I could find, because I want to dip these in chocolate. Now again, you have lots of options, so I'm encouraging you to try to make these the way you like them. So depending on what kind of Oreo you have, it may depend on what kind of chocolate you decide to use. So I have just the regular original Oreos, this is the chocolate wafer cookies. And my family likes it best when they're dipped in chocolate, but sometimes I'll dip the chocolate ones into a white chocolate and dip my vanilla Oreos cookies into a darker chocolate. You could even do a peanut butter Oreo or a mint Oreo. When I was digging around in my pantry, I found a bag of milk chocolate morsels. So if you like milk chocolate better than dark chocolate, you can use that. I also found this bag of espresso morsels, which that would be like a coffee flavor, which would probably go really well with the vanilla Oreos. So something to think about. But I settled on, I did have a bag of chocolate melting wafers. These are the easiest because these wafers are made for melting. And so there is a very easy, if you look at the back, there's a recipe on the back or instructions on the back of how to melt them. Just do it in the microwave. You do it for 30 seconds, stir them around, put them back in. I think it took about 1 minute and 15 seconds for my chocolate to get completely melted. So you can see I have, and those were dark chocolate wafers. My chocolate is completely melted now and it's ready for my Oreos. Now if this should start to get hard before I'm ready for, before I'm finished with it, I can just pop it back into the microwave for like 15-second intervals just to try to soften it back up and get it back to that nice consistency. So the next step is I want to dip my Oreos into this chocolate mixture. And I have always done it where I just take the Oreos, put them in, swirl them around, lift them out. You can even use a fork, which will just helps to get some of the extra chocolate off. And I just put them onto a cookie sheet that's been covered. I use parchment paper or wax paper or something just to keep it from sticking. You'll just appreciate that at the end. You could even use aluminum foil there. Once they're cool and they're dry, they'll peel off of there pretty easily. However, I was watching this video on the Creative Bug database, and the guy in there, when he was making his truffles, he did something I've never seen before. So I want to try this to see how it works. So he used rubber gloves or latex gloves, and he took his truffles, and instead of dipping them into the chocolate, instead he put the chocolate on top in his hand, which I found rather interesting, and then just rolled it around. And he actually even just used the other hand, which is covered in chocolate, so it's not like you're putting your fingers in the chocolate, and just rolled them around. So we're going to do some like that also, just so we can kind of see the difference. We'll see what difference it makes. But a lot of times I feel like when I'm dipping them in the chocolate, I end up with so much extra chocolate that I feel like I'm wasting. So I'm wondering if this is going to be an easier method. So let's just try it and see what happens. So put that onto my gloved hand, add some chocolate. If I need some more, just mix it in there, and then just roll them around like when I made the balls. Put them onto here and keep going until, and you can even dip some in there and then roll them around to get a little bit of extra chocolate. They do seem like they have less chocolate than what they would normally have. All right, and once again, so you don't have to sit here and watch me do every one of these, I am going to pause the camera and I will come back when they've all been nice and chocolatey. Okay, I finished dipping my truffles in chocolate, and in the video that I watched, what they did is they did something that I've never done before. They rolled their finished truffles into cocoa powder, which is unsweetened chocolate, and just to give them a different look, some texture to the outside, I did add a little bit of powdered sugar to mine just because cocoa powder is unsweetened, and I just wanted that little bit of sugar in it. And then the other thing that he added is he added some sanding sugar. So we do a lot of baking, and so I have my little container of all my sprinkles, and I did have a little container of silver sanding powder. So I added that to it. Please, if you're don't use just regular glitter. It's not edible. This is made for baking, and so it is completely edible and safe to eat. But don't add glitter that you have at home if it's not edible. Okay, so now I have my plate of chocolates, and a neat idea would be to share them with friends or neighbors. You can make up a little goodie bag, put a little note on it, a handwritten card, and take it off and drop it off, and spread a little bit of kindness with somebody in your neighborhood or somebody that you're thinking of. I would love to hear your ideas, see what you came up with. If you mix some different flavors together and came up with a great creation, I would love to know about it. Please share those with our Facebook Messenger page. I am going to show you how to find the link to the chocolate truffles on our Creative Bug database. And I thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. That's the Creative Bug database. You're going to go to crownpointlibrary.org. Once you get to our website, you will click the digital library. Once you're in the digital library, just scroll down. Our databases are listed down here, and we're going to use Creative Bug. Alright, once you get into the Creative Bug database, we're just going to click on See Latest Classes here. However, the first time that you enter, you will need to input your library card number and your PIN to access the site. After that, you will set up an email address and a password, and then you will be able just to get in without any problem. Alright, so once I've opened up here at the top, we'll see classes. If I click on that, I have a whole list of different type of classes that I want to use. You can go through and see what all is here for today. I was doing food and home, and from within food and home, baking and cake decorating. And you'll find right here hand-rolled truffles, which was for my cooking class today. So once I pull this up, you'll see there's a video that I can watch. I've already watched it once, but I can resume or start again or just play it. Down at the bottom down here, here's my description of what the class is, what it's like. Learn how to make ganache, flavor ganache with fruit, roll your truffles and decorate them. There will be a materials list so you can make sure that you have everything that you need before you begin. There is some discussion if you want to see other people's comments or questions that people asked. And you can also download a PDF if you want to download the directions for the class and save it to print it out so that you can have it with you in the kitchen, or you can just watch this as you go along. Again, thank you for joining me today. Check out crownpointlibrary.org for more resources, and please feel free to share pictures, photos of your truffles that you make, or if you have a combination of flavors that worked really well, share that with us on our Facebook Messenger page. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.